Dies sind die heil'gen zehn Gebot is a catechism chorale. It was written by Martin Luther, so it's a very ancient chorale in the Lutheran chorale repertory. It dates from 1524 and consists of 12 stanzas which narrate the 10 commandments. 10 of the stanzas are to do with the commandments themselves, and then we have beginning and ending stanzas to introduce and round the presentation off. The chorale is based on an older tune, a tune called heil'gen, a 15th century tune which is a kind of pilgrim song, in Gottes Namen fahren wir. The original text of the Lutheran chorale preserves an element of this in its closing words, in the words that close each of the stanzas. Dies sind die heil'gen zehn Gebot, die uns gab unser Herr Gott, durch Mosen seiner Diener treu, hock auf dem Berg Sinai. Kyrie eleis. Kyrie eleis, this is a reference to the Kyrie, Kyrie eleison, and this is a characteristic of popular kind of devotional songs in the late medieval and early modern periods, of which in Gottes Namen fahren wir, the melody, which is the basis of this chorale, is one. The chorale itself is presented in the top voice of the setting. The setting is in four voices. The top one presents the chorale completely undecorated. That is the first phrase. As you heard, it has a very large number of repeated notes, of repetitions of an identical pitch, before it finally moves on to a different one. This is going to play a very important role in the rest of the setting as well. We see that when we look at the lower voices. There are three lower voices. This is normal in Orgelbüchlein chorales. And they have a continual motif derived from that opening of the chorale that you just heard, but then in speeded up note values, in note values which are 4 times quicker than the ones that you just heard. This motive is first heard in the pedals right at the very beginning, and then is continually present from the beginning of the setting all the way through to the end. It's sometimes presented in overlapping form, in a kind of imitation between several voice parts, and it also appears not only in its normal form, in the form that that is directly derived from the chorale, but also in an upside-down version. So instead of with rising intervals, with falling ones. I'll just show you how that would sound. This is the melody, the motive, in its normal form. It's just the pitches of the chorale. And that appears sometimes also in falling form, such as here. This motive is then overlapped with itself and continually present throughout the entire setting. I will just play the beginning of that, isolating that motif to let you hear it. To begin with, in the pedal. Including when it appears upside down. Sometimes that can appear simultaneously with the motive in its regular form, such as here in bar 11. We could consider that perhaps to have a kind of symbolic value, perhaps related to a kind of rigidity of law or dogma. In any case, there is a constant presence throughout the entire chorale. There is also in the three accompanying voices a second motif. This one is in faster note values, in semiquavers, and has a kind of circling quality. Again, and it appears in combination with the basic motive derived from the first line of the chorale melody. Again, we hear that right at the beginning. It adds a kind of rhythmic energy to the piece, but was clearly a kind of second thought when Bach was composing the piece. The Orgelbuchlein manuscript not only preserves the music itself, but can sometimes give insight into the order of priorities, the order of compositional process that Bach applied whilst creating these pieces. And in this particular case, it's clear that he laid out the chorale melody first and added the motive derived from the first phrase of the chorale, and then added the semiquavers later. You can see that that was the process from the spacing and the layout on the page. One interesting aspect of the piece, of the chorale melody is the harmonic turns that it takes, in particular towards the end. The chorale melody seems to suggest a major tonality throughout the majority of its course, except at the end, where it takes a turn to what we would consider a kind of minor key. I'll play the chorale melody to illustrate that. That turn at the end towards the minor from this. Is very strange. It's a very strange turn for a chorale melody to take, and it inspires some quite curious harmonic processes on behalf of Bach, including some what we would call simultaneous false relations, a note in natural form in one voice and in flat form simultaneously in another. This happens towards the end of the piece, like this. Which gives a particularly colorful, although sometimes a slightly surprising, harmonic color. As far as the performance is concerned, there's no indication for how to registrate this piece, what kind of sounds Bach would have expected from the organ. Many options are available, from relatively subtle through to kind of plenum or full organ sound. I chose something which uses what count on this organ as the foundational stops. It has a so the tone quality that I chose has a kind of solid foundational character, which I thought matched the theme of the chorale quite well. One final thing to note is this is not the only setting of this chorale that Bach ever made. There's one in the third volume of his Klavierübung series, which treats this chorale in canon, which you might expect, considering this kind of canonic law-giving quality. He treats the chorale in canon and couples it to an amazingly expressive chromatic kind of accompaniment, which was perhaps suggested by this chromatic turn that the chorale melody itself takes. I would urge you to seek out that piece as well, if you don't know it, so that you can compare it to this one and see how very differently the same chorale melody can be treated.
Thank you for being part of the Orgelbuchlein project. This is more than music. It's a message of deep human emotions, from sorrow to joy, and a shared hope for a better future.
The Conscious Foundation We believe everyone deserves a peaceful home, and we think that music has the unique power to unite people in harmony. From the organ at St. Michael's Peace Church in Leuven, we bring this vision to life.
Through inclusive composition projects, regular concerts, and our annual organ marathon for peace, we inspire connection and hope. One day, we dream of hundreds of organs worldwide joined together in a resounding call for peace.
Help us amplify this message by joining our Patreon community. Link in the description.